Untamed is going to be untamed. It's going to be a little crazy. I want to talk to my people. I want to talk to my brothers and sisters. We can have grace and humility in how we interact with other people.
Oh, hot dog, look at you.
And nobody talked about what's really happening.
And let's have conversations about what truth is. All right, sorry. I'm going to get right into it because I don't have a lot of time today. We're going to be on until 3:30. Hopefully, David can stick around for that long. And we have an explosive show to go through some things with you, actually a lot of things. And David is my favorite person in the world, my favorite human. He's also my brother, Penn. And he's doing some incredible work. If you haven't seen his, look, if you're following me, you've seen his episodes that he puts out every Sunday. Not only compelling, but just amazing. It basically just shows you how his mind works. Also, he was just out for the J6th march that happened in Washington, D.C., so we'll have an update there. But we're going to talk about kind of going back in time and looking at from the 2020 stolen election, and then the fact that people are losing their minds. So with that said, he doesn't need any introduction. David Clements, welcome to the show.
Hey, Joe.
It's like the olden days when we have problems with tech, and I think it happens every time you come on.
Yeah, because they don't want to hear it.
So you actually have a lawsuit right now pending as well. Do you want to share a little bit about that? Do you want to just at least give everybody an update of what has happened with that in New Mexico?
Yeah, it's still live, but I got a hearing on Monday. Big hearing. The university that terminated me for refusing to get the jab and subject my students to the jab or the mask mandate. It was everything. They filed a motion to dismiss, which is typical. You know, if you're a defendant, you want to just file as many motions as you can to get rid of the case. And so I don't have any illusions that I have any idea of how it's going to fare on Monday, because I live in New Mexico. And it's a pretty bad state when it comes to the legal minds that are here. It's, you know, our elections are so rigged that just about every judge appears to be selected. So I don't know. If I get through it, it'll probably be some type of miracle. But I believe in miracles, and you know, I'm hoping for a happy answer on Monday on the case proceeding to trial.
And that's to get basically your back pay and to get made whole for the fact they took away. I mean, let's just call it. I mean, you have, this is your dream job. You loved what you were doing. You had a passion for these students.
Yeah, I mean, you ask for everything, because if you don't, you kind of waive the argument. But I'm asking for reinstatement. I mean, I don't hold it against the students for what the university did to me. And I don't necessarily hold it against the faculty. A lot of them wanted to stand up, but they were too scared. They wanted to keep their jobs. And so many people have privately reached out to me over the years about, you know, appreciating the stand. But yeah, you know, there's the way that damages works. You're entitled to everything that you lost and everything that you would have gotten but for the breach of the contract. So I'd like to think over a 5-year period I'd be tenured and I would have been promoted, and that I'd be gainfully employed. So you know, I believe that I'm legally entitled to all the damages that I'm entitled to. And
well, I mean, they also, it's just so everybody knows, you were an award-winning professor right before they let you go, and said that somewhere along the line you were not a good addition to their team. So this is not, yeah, and they took your picture off.
Before I opened my mouth about 2020, I was the highest rated professor, because they have this thing called Rate My Professor. And I was the highest rated professor in the business college. Yeah, I had the awards. I always had waiting list. So basically they'd lift the caps almost every semester. I think every semester I was there, they lifted the caps to either put me into an auditorium or some bigger building so more students could be there. And yeah, so the hearing, there's a lot of boring kind of procedural legal minutia. I won't bore the viewers with that, but that's where evil attorneys make their money, is in the minutia and in the fine print. And so they've got a series of challenges that I hope to overcome. I think I should. If I've got a fair judge, I believe that I'll prevail. But I have to kind of remind myself of the advice that I've been giving other people that have been in this fight, is that, don't beat yourself up if you don't win, because it's rarely about black letter law these days. It's primarily about corruption. And, I've seen so many good lawsuits that have fallen to the wayside, and so many good people, that have had their cases stripped and diminished from the defenses that you can present. And so money's going to be a really, really big test for me. But if I prevail, then I'm one step closer to trial. And that's really what I want. I want to be able to take these guys to trial, because it's a lot of fun.
Well, I mean, I believe that from a trial standpoint, there's not a lot of people that are put up against you. I know that. See, I've gotten in an argument with David before. I've never won, and I'm really good. I'm good at arguing. I'm good at debating. I have never won a debate. So much so I threw a cup through a window because I knew I was wrong one night.
You're plenty right, Joe. You're plenty right. But
not when we're arguing.
Well, no, it's just one of those things where I think I'm just used to. I was shocked when I first became an attorney and I did my first jury trial, and when defense attorneys would just lie through their teeth. At first you're like, my God, that's so wicked. How could this person's lying? I know that they're lying. And then you get, you see it another 1,000 times and then you get over it. So when I talk with people like Joe, who has a good framework of common sense and how people should act, and you act with honor, and when people act dishonorably or they lie through their teeth, Joe blows his top. But most people that actually have an ethical code would do the same. And I'm here to tell you that I had my own season of doing that until I realized, this is just the way it is. Unless you can prove that they're duplicitous liars, they're going to lie every chance they get. And unfortunately, that's my profession. I thought it was just relegated to like public defenders representing unscrupulous criminals, but you find out that the methodology of how lawyers lie through their teeth just becomes more sophisticated, especially in the areas that we've been focusing on for the past 5 years.
Yeah, it rarely becomes about the truth. And that's, I think, the most frustrating part about it. And I'm glad you said it takes about 1,000 times for you to say, this is just how it is. Because I think I've gotten it 1,000 times. Somebody said something about me the other day, and I was like, yeah, okay, well, next. What else? Seethe, demon, just seethe. I've almost gotten to that place where it's like, okay.
Well, it never gets old. When we got on your show just now, I was shocked. I looked at my feed on X, and I had George Magazine call a bunch of clips that I put out from Let My People Go bullshit. And I'm like, and at first I didn't think it was George Magazine, because surely George Magazine, this was a pro-Trump publication, at least at some point. Surely they believe that 2020 was rigged. Surely they believe that the election was stolen. Surely they believe in systemic election fraud. And then, I check it out, and apparently they must have new ownership. There's really no accounting for this. But even the clips that they were calling BS on, it's impossible to call BS. Like, one of the clips that they were upset about was Harry Howery, who is, in fact, a co-author of the Help America Vote Act, who, in fact, was the expert on the digital provisions. And he says in this very, very short clip that there's been zero material compliance with the Help America Vote Act by the election vendors. Now, you can say what you want, but that's the author. There's no disputing that the author said that. He went on record. So for them to call BS on that, I'm like, what happened to you? And I know that I think the editor is a guy by the name of Gene Ho. He used to be at all the Reawaken event tours, and I think was even a personal photographer for Donald Trump. So I was just very, very confused. And I even offered them, like, let's do a debate. Like, I don't know who has gotten a hold of your editorial board to now have an official position that we don't have systemic fraud in America, especially in light of all the bombshells that are happening with respect to the Venezuelan whistleblowers, the stuff that was put out by Gary Bernstein, Ralph Pizzullo through the Stolen Elections book. And just there's this huge flooding of the zone from not just me, but like President Trump went on a spree like late at night where he's just forwarding every single clip. And some of those
saw
clips,
your clip. I saw your clip.
Yeah. And I'm in one of them. And so I'm sitting there going, well, you're not really doing anything for Trump these days. So I'm just kind of scratching my head on, yeah, I mean, it's like, what the hell happened there? So check out my channel. And if you're following George magazine online, you might want to reconsider because they are not what they used to be.
Well,
So,
I actually just posted on there, you're not a serious person. On one of the posts, they said, you're taking away hope. Okay, so I get it. Let's have hope with a fraudulent system, and let's go get rainbows and marshmallows while they steal the rest of the ethos and the soul of our nation. See, these are just not real people. They're weak people. They're pathetic people.
yeah, someone gave me a good analogy, and this really is relevant to all of Conservative Inc., which is they know that they're operating with like counterfeit currency. It's like fiat currency. It's not real.
Yeah.
And to the degree that you won't tell them, hey, by the way, that's fake. You haven't bitten on that gold coin yet. If you just bite on that gold coin, you'd realize it's not real. And at some point, they just stop inviting you around because they know it's not real. But the fact that you point it out doesn't allow them to kind of put on the printing press and just spend us to death. It's the same thing with the election fraud. We're not here to blackpill you about voting. We're the ones that told you vote on election day in person, make it harder to cheat. We were actually, providing activism that was based on the evidence instead of some type of hopium. And so it's stunning. It's a bizarre kind of turn of events because I've always thought that George magazine was like a pro-Trump outlet. But if they're actually denying Trump's essential talking points that the elections are rigged and stolen, what an about face.
Well, it's not just that. We just had 13 Republicans that basically abandoned the platform in order to put Obamacare back into play for a renewal, right? I mean, we've got some serious problems in our country where the big lobbyist groups and the people that pad their pockets are able to, redictate what the people want. It's supposed to be of, for, and by the people. How is that even remotely the way it is if they basically don't even care what the people say? No. Here's what I know what's good for you. I know that higher taxes are good for you. I know that, moving the age of retirement from 65 to 67 to 60. I mean, by the time we get done with it, you'll have to be 100 years old before you get done. And we'll have guys walking around in walkers at Walmart, right? So they're literally moving the deal. But not for them, though. For them, they get Haagen-Dazs ice cream and free, toll passes. But the people have to suffer through these consequences of what can only be described as slavery, which takes me back to what you did in Arizona, where you stood up and you're like, David Clements, slave.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
I got some tape out there, brother. Like this week has been pretty amazing for so many different reasons. I mean, like there's so much to be encouraged about. And there seems to be this kind of phenomena of, people that you thought were pretty solid are becoming less and less solid. A lot of people are turning on Trump. Even Trump calling out Josh Hawley and some of the senators there, kind of unexpected because you've got all of these victories. And right now you've got all of these corrupt Democratic mayors throughout the United States that are actively calling for arrest of ICE. So they're creating this perfect template for Trump to actually use and declare the Insurrection Act. And one of the things that Tim Walz in particular might be very, very misguided about, because he wants to use the Minnesota National Guard. If Trump chooses to federalize that National Guard under the chain of command, they actually have to listen to the President of the United States, or they could be held, they could be court-martialed. So, and I say this from experience. In the Deep South during the Civil Rights Movement, there were racist governors that actually got their National Guard to resist integration after the Brown versus Board of Education. And the president uniformly back then would federalize the National Guard, basically take them over. And there was also a court decision from the United States Supreme Court recently that at first blush seemed to go against the president, but it really didn't. It actually told the president that you have to use ordinary means before you call upon the National Guard. And when you research what the ordinary course is for the president, it's actually better for him. It's to use the Marines. And so Trump actually hinted at this through a truth post where he said, I'm going to go ahead and call the National Guard out of places like Portland and California. And when the crime comes back, we'll be back stronger and better than ever. I think he's actually signaling to the people that know and have researched this, that if he comes back in there again, it won't be with the National Guard. It will actually be with the Marines.
Well, let's address something that you just said, which I think is important. There's a Facebook post, and I know we want to get into Raul because, as you remember, we talked about this several years ago in 2022 when they came forward and said, we have all the information related to how the CIA used and created and harvested U.S. citizens' information and used it for election fraud and for banking fraud. Now, we were able to run a bunch of things for that. But before I do that, you talked about using the Insurrection Act. And about, 200 years ago, maybe it was like 160 years ago, it was like 170 years ago, the states tried to do this thing too, where they decided that they were going to commit treason and sedition. And there is, let's go ahead and put it up if we would. This is the post that I put up before, and this is the AG of the DA in Philly. Now, here's and maybe, whoops, let me pull it up on my computer because I can't actually see it from there. This post is the Philly DA agent or Philly DA saying that ICE, in the wake of the Minnesota shooting, any law enforcement agent, any ICE agent is going to come to Philly to commit crimes, and you can get the F out of here. I will charge you with those crimes. You will be arrested. You will stand trial. You will be convicted. Donald Trump cannot pardon you for a state court conviction. Do you hear me, ICE agent? This is a direct correlation to Tina Peters and the fact that states have created their own island of crimes, their crime family. And they've been stealing elections for so long that now they have the density of this ideology state by state. This has happened, right? This disease. And this guy, by saying this, is basically saying that as a state or as a community, you can piss off the federal government can't do anything to us. Is that what you get by what he's saying?
Yeah, and if I actually believe that we didn't have a criminal enterprise with our state politicians, I probably would have been more sympathetic to that argument because I'm a big believer in the 10th Amendment. I'm a big believer in states' rights. But it all hinges on legitimacy. And when you know that most of these people are illegitimate usurpers that have been given an office based on the rigged elections, they don't have real authority. If anything, I think what we're going to see is as people realize that the Maduro capture, it might have a tertiary, link to oil, right? I'm not saying that that's not an issue. It may have a big thing to do with drug trafficking, but it's not. That's not even the main reason why we went in. It's really the Smartmatic rigged nature of our elections. And it's the cocaine, it's the fentanyl, it's the meth that funds the enterprise. But part of the enterprise, in order for it to be successful, is to control politicians, to control prosecutors, to control DAs. And so when you capture someone like Maduro, you lose the plot if you think this is just about drug interdiction. This is really about the cosmic threat that Maduro, Venezuela presented, not just to the United States, but to 72 plus countries around the world. And that means they have a list, they have a ledger of the people that they have bought, bribed, blackmailed stateside. So I would not be surprised that a lot of these Democrat officials, yes, even district attorneys, attorney generals, that are the loudest and most vocal about these types of talking points, are likely on the very list that you would expect Maduro to be in possession of, or at least know where to find them. So it's looking like a huge, huge plot that, for those who have eyes to see, this favors Trump in a remarkable way, and it does favor Tina Peters. I think even his reposting yesterday, again, free Tina Peters, he is not forgetting about her. I think he's actually waiting for all of these circumstances to arise to a certain level where he basically declares the Insurrection Act, deploys the military, 13 cities or more, and you better believe Denver and where they're keeping Tina is at the top of that list.
Well, now you have Jared Polis saying, I might gain her clemency just because for uncompassionate grounds, because I think he sees the writing on the wall. I mean, President Trump, maybe it's happened before, right? Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But President Trump stood up and said, everything, by the way, that we've seen that's progress, that's real progress, President Trump has had to put his fingers on it and literally push the button himself, right? But as easily as him eating Skittles, he plucked a leader of a country out of the country when two of the largest world powers were just there, China and Russia, right? And he walked in and he disposed of his security team and took him and his wife out without one casualty, U.S. casualty, did it in 3 hours.
Not only that, Joe, he used Delta Force, and this is something that is lost on a lot of people. But I've got friends that are former SEALs. That was a huge, huge thing because a lot of missions, like after the fact, they will deny Delta's involvement.
Right.
And many people that I talk to are telling me that this also means that if you're not using the Navy SEALs to secure Maduro, there is still a present risk for leaks to come out of the Navy. And so a lot of people that have a much better sense of that kind of world, that's not my world, are saying, Dave, the fact that there were zero leaks, and there's a lot of people that want to actually argue with me about that. Like,
you mean the fact that they said that they had a leak, but they didn't use it? That's a lie.
Like the Washington Post and the New York Times, apparently they maintain, and even some of the people from the White House are saying that, we let our partners in the press. It's like bullshit. I'm going to tell you right now, and you ask anyone that's in that Navy SEAL Delta Force world, they would not go on a mission, period, if the Washington Post or the New York Times had any knowledge about that mission. It is the most absurd thing to parrot. But people can point to statements from Secretary Rubio. And so I'm sitting there going, well, if you're looking at narratives that serve the Trump administration, they want to use the press to the degree that it favors the narrative to show how amazing this operation was. But don't believe for a second that somehow someone at the Washington Post was privy to a mission that if they were to leak, the entire thing would be for naught with American lives lost. I don't buy it. Maybe there was a time when that would have been true, but given what we know about the Washington Post going back the past 20 years, pretty hard to believe.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. In this case, if somebody were to leak it, if somebody were to leak that to the press, as radically left as the press is, and demonic as they are. I mean, look, they put a lot of people in harm's way. Like the police officer up in Minnesota, they wasted no time to dox him and put his name everywhere, right?
If I had to guess, Joe, I think it's like after the fact, just like when we had the hit on bin Laden, and you've got these iconic photos of the Situation Room and Obama, and everyone's looking on with, anticipation. That I don't think that the White House minds after the fact creating this very, very great thing for PR. At 1:00 in the morning,
Yeah.
We had relationship with trusted sources at the press. It's like, does anyone quite realize the relationship that Trump has had with these rags to suggest that we're going to trust in them to somehow maintain their silence? It's doubtful, but it's one of those things I can't prove. But most people that I know from that world, I had become good friends with David Rutherford, who was a SEAL, some other people in counterterrorism in the cyber realm, saying that usually they can spot something going on in the way that they look at cyber channels. And they were amazed. They said never in their lifetime had they been in a position where they didn't see something going on in the cyber world that would kind of give you a tell about a mission. Because a lot of these folks are tasked with actually supporting these missions. They were all kept in the blind and in the dark. And it was actually very similar to what happened when Trump had the strikes against the nuclear facilities in Iran. You'll recall that even Tulsi Gabbard was in the dark. Trump went out and said, "Oh, Tulsi didn't know anything about it." So, I mean, if you can keep the head of ODNI in the dark about a mission, chances are you're not going to, say, "Hey, Washington Post, come over. We want to give you all of the insights on what we're doing."
So that leads me back to this thing that we keep talking about, which is this culmination of what's going to happen over the next 2 to 3 weeks. We know what has to happen in order to get rid of the machines and the mail-in ballots, and President Trump put out that post. And the post was that I'm going to get rid of machines, I'm going to get rid of mail-in ballots, I'm going to file an executive order that we know what these machines are used for. He picks off Maduro. Everyone says narco-terrorism. We've seen this story before, the first 4 years of President Trump, where he basically says, I'm going to throw a press conference. And then he uses the media to have them put out what he wants to do at the press conference, right? And
yeah, everyone thought that he was going to come out and declare war on Venezuela, and instead he went on a 18-minute spree of telling about everyone how great he was for a year, and then I'm going to give some money to the military.
But I was told literally 5 days or 6 days before, the leakers called me, and I think that's what he's looking for. And I don't mind that people tell me things. I don't personally, when somebody tells me something, I go, that checks, okay. I keep it quiet, right? If it's something like as ambiguous as I think President Trump's going to talk about going to war, I'll say that. If it doesn't come true, I'm like, okay, well, there's got to be a reason why this guy's told me that. But then I watched for 18 minutes as President Trump talks, and it wasn't a normal President Trump. He was agitated. He wanted to say something, but he knew that he couldn't, and he was going to revel in the idea of telling everyone this, while knowing that a week later he was going to unleash hell on Venezuela and take what was ours, right? Which is our sovereignty, right? So maybe I'm fascinated about what's going to happen right now. And there's stuff that I want to tell you about. I've already told you, by the way, but there's stuff that I would want to publicly tell you about what's going on with Dominion and Eric and everything else, and I can't. Obviously, I told you, but it's God is working in mysterious ways. President Trump is doing some amazing things, keeping things quiet, getting things done. And I'm a very pessimistically optimistic person, as you know. But there was a time there that I was pretty, like, I was like, this is not going to work out.
Yeah. And I walk with you through those days. And, sometimes we have to have enough faith or hope for our friends until you get through some patches. Most of us were hanging on pins and needles last November of 24. That was the end of the country if Trump did come through. And then we kind of all have our own internal clock about when and how things have to be seen through. And right now, I think Trump is he's moving even faster this year than he did at the start of last year. And that sounds like it's hard to believe, but you look at, from the food pyramid to going from 70 some vaccines to at 11 for the vaccine schedule, to not allowing the BlackRocks of the world to own certain types of real estate to help people like us own homes, to bringing down the interest rates. I mean, it's all coming at once, and it's coming so quickly that Team Evil's having a hard time keeping up because they want to be fixated on what happened with Maduro. And in 24 hours, he's forced them to jump on a different topic. And then you have what happened with the ICE shooting. And so it just, the chaos seems to be favoring Trump, if that makes sense. It's like he is setting the tone and using the frequency of everything that he's deploying, whether it's through Scott Bessent, Hegseth, Rubio, and the momentum is just so fascinating to watch. So I'm really, really encouraged by it, Joe. And some of the other things where he's using the Department of Labor website, to use these messages that have been reserved kind of for the Q stuff, trust the plan. I mean, so he is continuing to give a hat tip to a very, very marginalized group, which he's basically telling you, I'm using the military. and I've been, over the past 6 months, laying out what I think is going on with the military. He really can't be any more overt at this point. That's exactly what he's doing. And I would not be surprised that in the next week or so that he deploys the military in all of these cities and we start seeing massive arrests. I mean, the game board has been set. And so we're all waiting for it. I'm just so excited because I see the board clearly.
All right, so let's get to the board. Let's talk about the board real quick. I think people really want to hear about this. Back in 2022, Patrick and I was just going through this with one of the person that I had go into Romania. And if you remember, David, I couldn't go. Like I tried to get a flight out. I tried to reach out to Mike Lindell and say, Mike, can you give me a flight over? I went to do a commercial flight. Then I thought maybe I'd go through Mexico. They weren't letting me out of the country, which was pretty scary, actually, because then you're trying to figure out who's trying to stop you. Why are the airlines? I could still fly domestically, but I couldn't fly internationally. And I couldn't buy a flight in Mexico to go to Italy to then drive into Romania. They wouldn't let me do it, right? And so we wanted to meet with this guy, Raul, who reached out to me and was like, look, you're probably the only person that I think we can trust. And can we get this information to the right congressman? So I want to play this cut. It's for 4 minutes long, and you could keep us on here with it. But this is Raul and Victor. This is the intro. This is started with online identity and banking fraud. Like, where did it all start for stealing elections? And here's the interesting part. Raul gave us names, social security numbers, addresses. We were able to verify this stuff through Act Blue. And then start asking questions like, hey, what state did you vote in? And they're like, oh, I'm in Virginia, and this information was in Tennessee. And I would ask them, did you give money to any candidate? They're like, no, I didn't give money. So we started uncovering and unraveling things before it was. We just didn't know how deep it was until they started really looking at it. But let's take a look at this one. This is the first Raul and Victor intro. This is in Romania in hiding.
Raul and Victor. Morning, gentlemen. Okay, so it started with identity theft, and then it moved to online banking fraud. Okay. We ready to go for this? Okay.
Guys, we don't have too much time. We are ready.
Yep. So, here, online banking fraud. What was the next
When
point?
online banking fraud is done, from the process of the online banking fraud, the remaining identities were used in order to use them as double crimes for the electoral fraud. Fraud, because the banks are behind of this shit.
Okay.
So this is a service, and the bank never wanted to solve this problem because there is an algorithm that I will show you and I will present it in the right moment.
Okay.
That it will prove that from each fraud, the bank is paying and the citizen is paying. They want to hide this shit from 20 years ago.
Okay.
So this is the primary crime, and because of this shit, they need to use the identities in order to secure the next president and the next power in charge, in order to cover up everything. So it's all about the money, it's all about the power. They just need to find the right way. And in order to find this way, they have two actors. One, of course, they are the banks. Second, the people in charge, politicians and authorities. And they needed the third actor, who can be the patsy. That's the hackers.
Yeah, so in our case, with regards to election fraud, Dominion voting system side.
Exactly. So through the institution, they recruited the hackers, they favor the hackers, but they took their work and used it as a key. It's simple like the big picture.
Okay.
You got it?
Yes.
Okay, now we need to take it one at a time and indicate or give it to you the right tools in order to verify the story and put it all together.
Which is,
Remember, we have 2009,
13 years.
2009.
the domino.
Since 2009,
Until now, we have a long way to cover up because everything started in Ukraine as an idea which was planned in years. Ideea s-a născut în Ucraina în 2009
the idea got birthed in 2009 in Ukraine.
și a fost dezvoltată până în 2012 într-o anumită formă.
Tot acolo.
Nu, a fost dezvoltată.
And was developed in another extended till 2000 and experimented till 2012.
Și din 2012 au început să fie campanii.
And from 2012 started to be used in practice.
So this is the beginning of it. And David, he worked for a company called Fox IT. Fox IT is a front for the CIA. Now, Raul's kind of the glue. And this is how we got into roaming networks and what Dominion was using in order to create their data centers. And then we were able to find roaming networks connected to transportation systems all over the United States, all run by Serbians, all hiding in plain sight. Now, this next one is Raul but this is communication between Raul and the guy from Homeland Security. And let's take a look at this.
I will give you this one.
Okay.
But we need to discuss it first because if you don't, without me, it's nothing.
Okay.
I'm the glue in this shit.
Okay. And the glue that keeps the pages together.
Yeah. So this is the
How many percent is of
check. Read this.
Okay, Raul, I've got
12 July 2019.
12 July 2019 highlighted. I've been there. Check the visitors register on 16 July 2019. Okay, and this is a text message from.
This is my communication between me and the Homeland Security guy.
Okay,
So read it, and we will come back about these messages because there are a lot of messages.
Okay.
But just to make a point.
okay. Raul, I've got 2 guys from our office and 2 from our NY New York cyber unit coming out with me to meet. Don't want to overwhelm you with too many people, but all have a role and will assess you and your information. I see a number of ways we can work together, but want to stay focused on specifics. Bring what you have available to show, and we'll discuss potential options, but be prepared to be straight with us. The ellipsis, the who, what, when, and where in totality is important for us to make a good judgment. Just want you to be prepared so you aren't caught off guard. This is a native English speaker.
What?
This is definitely American. Okay. Scott C. All my words will be doubled by documents and samples. What I don't have, I will tell where it can be found. Exactly the point. Sounds fair? Yes. However, I may ask you to forget about the past and focus on the future.
Hold on. Regarding this phrase right
Okay.
here, I want to make some completation which is not seen here.
Okay.
On the meeting in the U.S. Embassy, they proposed me to forget about the information which I have regarding the election fraud and the banking and the identity theft.
Okay.
Instead, I will get a Washington, D.C. seat, $1 million in cash, and I can
Got that? Million?
Yeah.
$1 million up there in the embassy.
Okay. Continue.
Just a second.
Yes.
In this condition, we work up front. Are you okay for us to record also?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Absolutely.
We meet in the embassy, then the right proposal is like this. One seat in Washington, offered by one of these guys, one of the guys from the New York cyber.
David, it reeks of what the government does. I want you to forget about what happened in the past. Let's work together. Let's give you money. Let's move you over here. Let's shut you up.
Yeah, it's hard to say, right? You know, like when I look back at these videos or I hear the whistleblowers, one of the things that strikes me is that as civilians, we were over the target. I mean, you were over the target. We were, and this was from publicly available information. So we didn't even get to really look into the guts, with the exception of just a few people who we all know. And it's amazing when you listen to these folks, the whistleblowers that Gary and Raul Pizzulo interviewed, that there's complete alignment between what we found as civilians with what they revealed on the other side. Like there's really no discordance between the two sides, and that's cool. And it's cool to experience it here. Like I was actually quite used to it as a prosecutor, because I'm never allowed to talk with a criminal defendant. You know, they're surrounded by lawyers. They have the right to remain silent throughout a proceeding. And so it's not until you actually get a conviction and you exert leverage that someone kind of gives you a statement because they want to save themselves. And they'll tell you, you're absolutely right on this, 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 and this. You're wrong on this, but that's understandable. And so you have to have a talent to visualize things where there's a ton of gaps, but you know for a fact, this can't lead to this outcome unless this is true or this is
Correct.
true.
Yeah.
And that's where we're at right now. And so it's liberating. It's also kind of given the election integrity movement a shot in the arm of confidence that here we are, we're not crazy. We've got people that were there with Smartmatic telling us exactly how it's happening. So it seems like the only psyops that we're really seeing right now from the election integrity side is there's a little bit of glory hounding where people are, I think, trying to take credit for saving the world. And there's kind of a push on that. I think you can kind of put up with it to some degree.
Yeah, like the Tories of the world.
Yeah.
Who got mad because I said you can't come on until you apologize to David. She's like, oh, and I'm thinking, and then she told me that I took her work, and I'm like, she's like the queen of take everybody's work. I was the first.
Yeah, she's accused everyone of that. But I mean, like even the stuff that happened with Emerald Robinson, whom I love. I think she's done a great job. She's put out so much great stuff. Yeah. But there's kind of this narrative out there about here's the three men that saved the 2024 election. And I firmly believe that they helped, but I think there's some liberties being taken by saying that. And the reason why I bring that up is just, look, I knew what Emerald did about the same time that she did, about a year ago, this time. I've met with Martin Rodeo. Martin Rodeo was the kind of guy that Gary Bernstein talked about, who was this amazing asset that was going out flipping people. And that's absolutely true. And I've gotten to meet him. I actually met him in January of last year. And he was the one that actually debriefed Elon Musk. And, Musk with his super dolphin-like brain said, just give it here. Give me the data. He ran it through the AI and confirmed what Martine would have spent hours to explain it to him. And so I can confirm that all of that happened. That's all legitimate. But here's the problem that I have with kind of whitewashing certain things and erecting heroes that need to take credit for saving the election. In those same interviews with Gary Bernstein, we're told that he was on the road for a year, kind of hiding from authorities in Switzerland. You got Patrick Byrne showing up with his millions, kind of funding it all. That somehow these three would have had the operational wherewithal to do a cyber intervention of Dominion in Serbia. That's where I'm sitting there going, okay, maybe some of that's true, but it really, again, presents Trump as this kind of aloof, sitting back, and things are just happening to him, as if the guy that created Space Force, as if the guy who knows Elon Musk and the creation of satellite infrastructure and satellite dominance were, completely out of the mix. That's kind of where I draw the line and say, all right, there's a lot of it that I believe to be true, but I think there's some narratives that are being formed out of that actually work in favor of Trump. Let's be honest. I don't think he wants anyone talking about the military carrying out an intervention in the 2024 election. And so maybe that's the purpose behind it.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, I think I'll just say this. I think Patrick Byrne is amazing. I mean, he put it all on the line. I guess I just don't care who takes credit. And I've gotten to that point where you've done a lot, David. Like nobody can question. Like I have been on that trail with you for years. We would be away from our family a week, 2 weeks at a time. I mean, we know the sacrifice. God, better than that, God knows the sacrifice. God knows that we did and we honored our commitment 1,000%. And so I let those people that want to take all the credit, great. And I mean, people have tried to take that credit.
It's not even that, Joe. I don't care. I don't care about the credit at all. I actually I can make sense of it. I guess what I care about is just the truth. And if someone's going to tell me that 3 people, civilians, carried out the greatest cyber intervention to stop the communists from stealing the election in 2024, I just don't think that passes the sniff test, and I've got my reasons why. That doesn't mean that those people are bad people. Those people, I know for a fact, I'm here to say, are incredible patriots. parts that helped us. But the way that my mind works is I have to be conscious of the psyop and the next psyop and the next psyop because honestly, we can't risk ever going back down this path again. And so, like, I think from a historical standpoint, we better really come to terms on exactly what happened to never let it happen again. And maybe we'll never know the whole truth. But if we end up getting the same shared result, which I think Patrick and Emerald and I would all agree on, is an election without machines, and I know that's where they're at, I hope, then it'll be victory. It'll be a good day.
Well, I want to show you something else because President Trump, when this came out, this next cut is a letter that Raul wrote to the ambassador of the United States warning them on what would happen in the election in 2020. Let's go ahead and play this.
Okay. All right.
So in order to understand, one of one, like here, your embassy have, and I will prove it how they got it, when they got it. I have the tracking numbers, the names, and everything that is needed. I have it with me.
My name is Raul Nicolai Coulter, a former external risk analyst in the field of cybersecurity and banking cybersecurity. I make this document available to you and inform you of the following. I am a witness and whistleblower in more than 10 domestic and international cases in favor of the American people. As you can see from the contents of the file, the data is highly sensitive. Due to the fact that starting with 2011, 2015, 2018, 2019, 2020, I notified the criminal actions against American citizens and against American institutions, an abusive case was created for me to be stopped or eliminated. Given that the accusations brought against me are abusive, a Facebook post misinterpreted, they will probably try in other ways to silence or eliminate or discredit me. The law and the Constitution are not respected in my case. I respectfully request an urgent meeting to discuss and present with certain aspects of your country's national security. Along with this aspect, I must inform you and present one of the most important secrets of your country, a secret discovered by foreign entities, a secret that can be useful to every American and global citizen, a secret hidden by certain criminal interests and mathematical banking algorithm. My last visit to the headquarters of the USMC in Bucharest was on 16 July 2019. In the next 2 to 3 days, another abuse is about to be committed against me, which is why I will communicate the following numbers. Personal mobile. If my phone number is locked, it means they acted abusively. Trusted locally contact, just ask about me. That number. Trusted international contact, just ask details about me. Thank you very much for your time. I hope to see you soon. Have a great day. For fast preview, search the pink and green marked words in the material. Okay?
So did you make a big picture regarding what this thing is?
Yes.
This is the most important thing from everything.
The banking algorithm.
And I have it. I still have it.
We got tech. Can deal with that.
Well, we need to work on this.
Yes,
because it's so simple, but it's so hard to understand.
So, David, the reason why I bring that up is because he told the ambassador again. Have you heard anything about that? Did any ambassador ever bring that up? Did it ever hit? I delivered this stuff to the congressman. I went to Jim Jordan's office. What happened to it?
Yeah. Well, they keep talking about banking. So that's another thing that, so for the people that are watching this and they're thinking in terms of, well, what does this have to do with elections? For those of us that understand, the matrix of, or the ecosystem of elections, start thinking about Act Blue, start thinking about Win Red, start thinking about a way to fund the ecosystem. And that's where the banking is so important. This is how you fund NGOs. This is how you fund Stacey Abrams and Happy Faces. You have it all graphed out because while you've got cyber operations, at some point there's going to have to be some human flesh involved to carry out certain assignments. There's got to be someone that's got to be in the room, a la Ruby Freeman, Shay Moss. There's got to be someone that's got that jump drive, right? So funding that apparatus through the banks This is why it's so encouraging to see what Scott Bessent is talking about over at the Treasury about mapping Antifa, mapping out these designated terrorist groups and tracing funding sources. It's why it's so encouraging to see Peter Benegger's work, where he just talks about smurfing and all the stuff that's going on. So I think what we're going to end up finding out, Joe, is that what appears to be so complex from our standpoint as civilians on this side, if we were part of Team Evil and we're looking at all of this from the other side, we would see how elegant and streamlined and simple the cheat is. It's just, you just have to understand the core architecture. I know you do.
I do.
And so that's kind of the place that we're at. It's like, I think our psychological hesitancy in 2020, all of us, myself included, it's like, surely this isn't as pervasive as I think my conscience is telling me it is. Surely this is a 6-state problem. This is not even a 6-state problem. It's a 6-county problem. And we'll get through it. And every day we're given a bombshell or some video like this takes on new light about how pervasive entire financial sectors, entire banking institutions are part of this large con.
I'm not going to play the rest of the videos because I only have a little bit more time with you. I want to play it out. We'll play more of these, and you guys can create cuts on these as well, right? So just put them out on all the socials. Make sure you tag David on those as well. But let me just explain some of the other cuts that we're taking. He goes through and he talks about things that I had never discussed. So I had never discussed the information related to roaming networks, its interconnection into Serbia and parts of the Balkan nations, and the fact that FBI did come in and actually confiscate some of those servers. Like, this is stuff that I knew about that not many other people knew about. Well, in this, he starts talking about the server documentation, and he provides it. He provides the server documentation that connects it all the way to Arizona, Mesa County, or Maricopa County, Colorado, in 4 different areas, and then the server addresses for them in 3 other states. And he goes, and Joe, this connects into Dominion. So this basically shows that these are the servers that were used to write the code for Dominion that could go in and just change them. And remember what we talked about back in 2021 and 2022? I said, David, how many people do you think is needed to execute a theft of an election at the local level all the way up to the national level?
I think I remember it just being one. Just one. Yeah.
And for 5 years we've talked about Eric Coomer. You wrote an entire movie on Eric Coomer. Did you get served anything on Eric Coomer when you made the movie? Did they do anything to you? I mean, you were prepared for it. Did they do anything to you?
Well, they've done plenty, but it's all been through
proxies,
the disciplinary boards of my state. So there was a huge campaign to basically do a professional assassination of my career. What didn't serve their interests is to have a guy who could represent himself and not stand up and stand up to them and use a platform. So I think they wanted to negate that strength, which I had, and say, well, let's just write 1,000 hit pieces on the guy, make everyone think he's crazy. And to some degree, it's worked. I don't think they thought we were going to be as resilient as we've been. And I don't think they thought that we'd put out a movie that had a South Park creation of Heinrich Coomer. But I can tell you this, I've had other cases with other people that I've represented where Dominion knows exactly who I am. When I did the defense of the deposition of Jeff Lemberg in Curling versus Raffensperger, we had 18 attorneys on the other side, most of which were sympathetic to Dominion. They knew who I was. And even in a mediation that involved Dominion, I was supposed to represent someone. I'm not at liberty to share who that is, and who wanted to retain my services to defend his mediation. And everyone on the other side, all of these Dominion attorneys, said that if Clements shows up, we're not having a mediation. That's so I'm reviled by Dominion for throwing monkey wrenches wherever I can find them. And I think that's also one of the reasons why my clients, who I won't disclose who they are, have been protected in some of the criminal prosecutions. There was an attempt to go after one of my clients in the RICO case. I was able to throw a monkey wrench into that. And then you have corrupt DJ Hilson, who's a special prosecutor in Michigan, who's going after Stephanie Lambert, Matt DePerno, Claire Rendon. And all of a sudden, they've gone radio silent on some of my clients. And so I'd like to think that they are now not so certain, Joe, that they're going to see the day of being able to wrap up their trap for really, really good people. And when people start getting really, really quiet and they're not as quick to schedule up the next trial and issue subpoenas for people that you know and love, that's a really good sign.
Yeah, well, I still have to wrap up all of my experts. So I'm hoping to give Jeff Lindbergh a show for one of those. He'd be basically the nail in the coffin with Roger Fuller and a bunch of other people. So there's so much, brother. There's so much. But I want to finish the discussion today with this. 5 years. I want to know, what have you learned in 5 years? And this is a big question. Do you regret the last 5 years? What's the greatest thing that you got out of the last 5 years? And what's the greatest disappointment? I mean, so that's a lot. You know.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't change any of it. I think that it'd be a mistake to judge this season by the outcome that I think we're going to experience, which is victory. I really believe that. If you think in terms of this is a 5-year journey, then there's like a bittersweet, almost like if this was about a political victory, if this was about Trump winning, then I would tell you, no, it's not worth it. Because the problems that our nation faces are bigger than politics. Yeah. This is about a generational vision for our children and our grandchildren. And so in that respect, I would say that the thing that I'm most thankful for is that my faith was tested to such a degree that I ended up having a sweeter relationship with Jesus. I mean, because you're brought to your wit's end. I felt like the last 5 years was basically me having to die to all of my own idols and the idol of my job, my identity in a job. Being a professor, I had to die to financial security. I had to die to, letting what people printed about me really bother me. I had to die to being liked and loved by people that I really wanted to be liked by. And so through all of that refiner's fire, God met me, and I think what He was trying to do is purify and perfect a child that He loves, Lord willing, for something greater. And I don't know what that is, or maybe I do, and I'm just not going to share it. But I think that we all of us that have participated in this great war to reclaim our country, and have stood up and stepped up. We have a divine purpose that God will continue to reveal to us for the rest of our lives. And so I really do see the people that have stepped up as modern day founders of a reclaimed America. And we didn't learn all these lessons to now go retire and play golf and take it easy. I actually think it's going to be the exact opposite, that we're going to have an absence of a major vacuum if the exposure that I expect occurs, where we need people to govern. We need the right people to govern, to replace those that have committed treason. And for me, that's not, running for office. It's by providing an environment for honest people to run for office. But I think that's going to be really what I devote my time and passion, is that when we secure this victory, that we don't give it up the day after by forgetting all the lessons that we've learned. So that's on the positive side. I think just the sweetness of my walk with Jesus. I feel like I'm more alive. I'm more knowledgeable. I think I'm more intelligent than I was 5 years ago. I think I'm more realistic. And yet I also have a faith that no one's going to take away from me. And then the hardest thing, and this is kind of even harder to answer because it's the hard stuff that really, it's the pressure that produces the diamond, right? And
Yeah.
squeeze the coal, right? I think the hard part was just experiencing betrayal and rejection from people that I truly love and care about, because they couldn't choose the refiner's fire. They chose the world. They chose popularity. They chose relationships that steered them well clear of the battlefield. And so you can kind of expect it to some degree to see weakness or someone kind of denying that they know you. But I'd be lying if I told you that didn't bother me, that there's so many people that they see me. It's like they walk.
Mike Flynn said in deposition that he wouldn't even know me if I walked in the room.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
Well, which we know is not true. I mean, I can't walk through an airport, and I spent plenty of time talking to him at Clay Clark events. But so we got to close up, and I'm gonna pray us out. Hopefully you will pray us. Can you pray us out?
Sure.
But before you do, I want to answer. I want to tell you the same answer that I just asked you, and it's impactful for me to hear the things that were most difficult for you, because I lived that with you. Mm-hmm. And as I sit here and I look at the comments of what people are saying and why the last 5 years have been so difficult for people, I didn't see anybody in the comments say that I wouldn't want to do it again. I wouldn't want to be, I asked Patrick the same thing. I was like, Patrick, would you rather be oblivious and just go through life be one of the retards that goes through life and has no idea what's going on, right? And he's like, absolutely not. But it's been painful. But I will say this, the last 5 years have been worth it. They've been worth it. They've been worth it, even if God's plan is not to restore, it still was worth it because of the people that I got to make this journey with, and the fact that I now know what truth looks like 1,000%. I will never, ever be able to look at a lie the same way, right? And I think that the magnificent part about that is that I know that God is real and Jesus is my Lord and Savior. And frankly, you can feel it, you can see it, you can taste it. And all the preparation up until this point has been this culmination of this spiritual hardening that you just know. You know what you know and you don't know what you don't know, right? And you're willing to lean into people, and the 5 years of people like doing bad things to me, or even saying bad things, it's okay. You know why? Because I know the people that wouldn't. I know the people that will be my brothers till the end of time, right?
Amen.
And probably some of the best parts that I've ever had, you've always been a part of those. Even the ones where, you know where I'm going with this, the two-finger death punch.
Oh boy, yeah. Well, I look back at that night with a little bit of shame and regret, but I've had a couple physical altercations over the past 5 years that, praise God, didn't land up on the front page of USA Today, because it could have easily on a couple nights. I called you on the other one that you weren't there for.
You were in Florida, yeah. But I will say this. That you have been a steady compass in my life, right? And I think you've been a steady compass in a lot of lives. So I want to give you a little bit of, encouragement in what you've been able to accomplish, right? The things that you've done, and that's all in the fact that, we had a blow up at 1 o'clock in the morning, right, at my house, and I was a total dickhead, and it was bad. it was bad in so many ways because I didn't know how to articulate myself, and I was headed down a path. As you said, Joe, this is the most self-destructive you've ever been, and if you keep going down this path, you're going to crash and burn. You didn't say it in so many words, but in essence, that's where I was headed, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I look at it like it's the prodigal son. Like you're the prodigal brother. And at some point, the father looks out. He wants his brother back. He wants him to come back, or he wants his son to come back. But he can't go out there with them. He's got to let them just, experience what life has to offer. And we've all been there. I mean, before you were seeing red in 2022. There was a 6-month period where I was seeing red, and that was my period of darkness where you're like, Dave, you got to stop seeing everything as an enemy. And so, brother, I love you, and
I love you.
That wasn't going to change. In fact, I think even in those messages to one another, it's kind of like, I know I'm going to get you back, but sometimes you just have to have a season where you start punching the waves. Sometimes it's like when I was a kid, I remember just going to the beach and I just remember doing karate. Like I'm fighting the waves in my head. Like I'm doing it. But if someone really thinks that this 8-year-old kid is going to stop waves from coming, that's kind of where we've all been is there's got to be something so biblical in this providential story arc. And I'm proud of many things, but finding friends and some friends that are family. Your family. We are spiritually adopted brothers. Folks, if you don't know why Joe calls me Brother Penn and I call him Brother Penn, one of the last living descendants of William Penn, which Pennsylvania was named after.
Yeah,
he was the guy that created the identity for the United States before it became the United States. So he was largely the person that was protected with preserving the idea of what America would become. And we became very, very good friends with intercessors for the nation. And one of them happens to be a wonderful woman by the name of Joan, one of the last descendants of William Penn. And she adopted us as spiritual sons to continue on this fight for our country. And so there's a picture out there where Joe and I are in Arizona, and we actually get down on our knees because she's older, she's in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
And she adopts us. And so we're family.
1,000%. Well, I tell you what, it's always fun to have you on. I got to have you on more often. And I will tell you guys all know where to find Professor Clements every Sunday when he goes live. I'll post this stuff as well with a link back to it. But you can find him on X. You can find him on Facebook. It's blowing up on Facebook. I don't know what's happening there. At Prof's Record on X. You can also find him still on Telegram. I know some people like to still use Telegram. He's still there, still posting there. And obviously you can find him on True Social, and you can find him on all the normal platforms, let's just say.
Great. Thank you, Joe.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate you. Can you pray us out? And
yep.
And yeah.
Will do. Dear Lord, we first of all just give thanks to you for sustaining us, for teaching us, for refining us. And we just love you for being such a good, gracious, and patient, merciful God. Because of your patience and mercy, many of us have had the chance to see you before we're judged. And there's many people out there that are on the brink of being judged, both in the courtroom of earth, but courts of heaven, because of what they've done to our country and to our brothers and sisters around the world. So, Lord, we thank you for your mercy, but we also look forward to your perfect justice, where evil men and evil women are put away appropriately. Lord, we pray a special blessing on everyone here that's watching this podcast, that, Lord, that you would just bring them to you in a more meaningful way. And we just pray that you would set all of our paths straight and that we would live lives that are pleasing to you. We look forward to the day where government rests on your shoulders, King Jesus. We just ask for blessing in your name. In Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Whew. By the way, I did decide to run for governor. I don't know if you heard about that.
Yeah, I saw some posts.
And
Go get them.
I have one of the coolest songs ever. Have you seen my song?
No, send it my way.
Yeah, so we'll sing the song your way, but God bless you, brother. Give my best, our best to your beautiful wife and your beautiful children. So, yeah. It's 2026 is going to be a great year. I'm looking forward to it.
It's a year of Jubilee.
I love that word.
250 years. It's going to be a good year. All right. God bless you. Take care.
God bless you, brother. Yeah, I love that man. And yeah, so I just make sure you do follow him and have a great weekend. And if you are sick, you want me to pray for you, just send me a little note. But you know, I think that we've prayed for restoration. We're going to get it. We don't know what it looks like. And our expectation is going to look the way we want it to look. It never ends up that way. So I would just say to, maintain the 4 things that I think you should all be doing. Pray, stand, speak, act. Pray first, and then pray when you're done with that cycle so that you never become the very thing that you're fighting against. God bless you all. See you guys on Monday.
Whoa, whoa. The forgotten and the free, exposing rigged machines, Kuma's lies, Dominion's deceit, pays a grand each day, shielding truth from corrupt halls, but he won't back down, standing tall through it all. Hart and Tina Peters break the chains that bind her tight, hand count votes and one day bring the fraud to light. No more mailing scams, no machines to steal the night. Restore the people's voice, make Colorado right. Governor Oltmann, lead us bold and true. Badass for the have-nots, fighting through and through. Abolish property tax, cut the tolls away. Shrink the bloated state, let the people have their say. Governor Oltmann, it's our rally call. Truth and freedom rise and watch the tyrants fall. Untamed Colorado, strong and proud. We'll be one man for the people. Set our great state free. Help the single moms. Bring back trade school strong. Opportunity for youth. Where the brave belong. Audit every NGO. Ban the wolves that roam. Reclaim our stolen land. Bring the power home. Eric Kuma's fraud, Dominion's rigged design. Expose the stolen votes, cross a dangerous line. No more victimhood, no chains on you and me. He's running for governor for real liberty. Smash the fraud machine, pardon heroes jailed. For the have-nots, rising truth will never fail. One warrior defies the corrupt elite. Colorado reborn, strong on our feet. Governor Oltmann, lead us bold and true. Badass for the have-nots, fighting through and through. Abolish property tax, cut the tolls away. Shrink the bloated state, let the people have the say. Governor Oltmann, it's our rally call. Truth and freedom rise and watch the tyrants fall. Untamed Colorado, strong and proud. We'll be one man for the people. Set our great state free. Governor Raul, lead us bold and true. Governor Raul, freedom forever, Colorado rise. Governor Raul. rise up untamed. In the heart of the fire where the wild ones roam, Joe Oltmann's calling, bringing truth back home. From conservative daily to this untamed fire, we shatter the silence, lifting spirits higher. No chains can hold us, no lies can prevail. Authentic and fearless on this rugged trail. Patriots gather under stars and stripes. Untamed nation, igniting the night. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the free. Standing proud from sea to shining sea, we won't back down. Catch the fire, wear the crown. Untamed nation, it's our battle song, motivating hearts where the brave belong. Yeah, untamed and wild, forever strong. Play it again all night long. Break the mold, chase the real. No more games, time to heal. Joe's voice leads the untamed crew. Truth matters through and through. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the free. Standing proud from sea to shining sea, we won't back down. Catch the fire, wear the crown. Tame nation, it's our battle song, motivating hearts where the brave